Hello and welcome to Tech Talks with Kinsoft. It's Friday, January 16th, 2026. I'm your host. And if you've been following the news lately, you might feel like the digital ground is just constantly shifting beneath your feet.
It really is.
And this is the show where we try to, stop the doom scrolling, take a step back, and actually unpack what's defining our security landscape. We take the reports, the data, all the messy reality of it, and figure out what it actually means.
It's great to be here, and you're so right about the ground shifting. I mean, we're starting 2026 with a story that feels like a bit of a throwback to last year's chaos, but with a twist that really makes you question the motives of the people behind the keyboards.
Yeah, today we're looking at a cyber attack on a Tasmanian nonprofit called Community-Based Support, or CBS.
Huh?
This all went down late last year, back in October.
Right.
And on paper, it looks like a standard data breach. Bad guys get in, data gets out. But there's this bizarre layer of, well, I guess you'd call it corporate irony on top of the whole thing.
Irony is a very polite way of putting it. It's more like a paradox. The group behind this is the Lynx ransomware gang. And if you read their marketing material, and yes, these criminal gangs actually have marketing material.
Unbelievable.
They claim to have a strict policy against targeting nonprofits and hospitals.
Right, the quote-unquote ethical criminal. The Robin Hoods of the dark web. We'll steal your data, but we won't steal that data.
Precisely. They want to project this image of being like a reasonable business partner. They want victims to think, oh, these are the nice criminals, we can negotiate.
But this attack on CBS just completely dismantles that.
It does. So today, we aren't just reporting on a breach. We're using this as a case study to look at the volatility of this whole hacker ethics myth and, maybe more importantly, the state of ransomware now that we're here in 2026.
Okay, so we've got a lot to get through. We need to look at the specific data exposed because it's genuinely upsetting. We have to look at the sheer volume of attacks hitting Australia. Spoiler alert, the numbers are bad.
They are very bad.
And I want to talk about what this all means if you're a business leader listening. If the ethical hackers are coming for nonprofits, then who is safe? So let's start with the victim. Who is community-based support?
To really get the severity of this, you have to look at who they serve. CBS Tasmania, I mean, they're not a tech startup. They're not a bank.
No.
They're a not-for-profit organization. They're dedicated to aged care, disability services, and independent living support. Their whole reason for being is helping people stay in their homes.
So we're talking home modifications, social hubs, helping people with daily tasks, the really essential human stuff.
Exactly. And to do that job, to verify eligibility, to tailor that care, they have to hold incredibly sensitive data. You can't run an aged care service without knowing someone's health status, their My Aged Care number, their Medicare number.
And their pension details. I was looking at their privacy policy, and it's extensive. They collect this stuff because, well, the government requires it and the service demands it, but that just creates this massive honeypot of data.
It really does. And that data is valuable, regardless of the moral standing of the organization that's holding it.
So take us back to October 2025. How did this all unfold?
Well, CBS just popped up on the Lynx Games dark web leak site. They posted proof of the incident on October 10th. Now, CBS came out and they did confirm a cyber incident. They said it was contained and thankfully had no impact on operations.
Which is a small miracle in itself. I mean, usually operations just grind to a halt.
It is a credit to their IT resilience, for sure, that they kept services running.
Yeah.
But, while the doors stayed open, the digital vault was cracked. They figured out that a subset of data was copied.
And this is where I want to pause, because subset of data sounds so clinical, so sterile.
It does.
But when you look at what Lynx posted to prove they had access, the proof of life, so to speak, it's chilling.
Yeah.
They posted an employee detail form, a tax invoice, and then there was this one photo that just made my stomach turn.
You're talking about an ID card.
Yeah, a photo of a working with vulnerable people ID card.
It's just such a visceral example of what we're dealing with. That card belongs to a staff member who has been vetted to work with at-risk people. By publishing that, Lynx isn't just proving they hacked a server.
No, they're doxing a care worker.
Exactly. They're exposing names, residential addresses, ID numbers of the very people who are trying to protect the community.
It just proves that the human element is the ultimate vulnerability. You can have firewalls, policies, whatever, but if a sophisticated actor wants in, or just one person clicks the wrong link, that data is gone.
Mm-hmm.
But this brings me back to that ethical criminal nonsense. You mentioned Lynx has a strict policy. I'm looking at their manifesto from July 2024 right now.
The press release, as they called it, it's incredible.
It's insane. They literally say their clear intention is to avoid undue harm. They say they encourage dialogue and resolution rather than chaos. It sounds like a mediation firm.
We're just here to facilitate a transaction. It's branding. It's pure and simple. We have to understand that in 2026, ransomware is a business. It's an industry. And like any industry, they have public relations issues. Lynx tries to position themselves as the clean option to lower the heat from law enforcement.
Don't chase us, FBI. We don't hit hospitals.
Exactly. If you attack a hospital and people die because systems go down, the full weight of the global intelligence community comes down on you. But if you attack a car parts manufacturer, maybe you fly under the radar.
But the reality check here is brutal. Despite that manifesto, they hit CBS.
They hit CBS. And it's not just CBS. They hit VET Track, a student management system. That's education data. And if you look at their broader list, they have over 300 victims. Clutch Industries Automotive Manufacturing lost 350 gigs of engineering docs. Brown and Hurley, the truck dealership, lost 170 gigs of HR data.
Oof, that HR gate is the key, isn't it? That's where the identity theft really kicks in.
That's the gold mine.
So if they have a manifesto, why just ignore it? Are they just liars? Or is there something more structural happening here?
That's the critical question. I think we have to remember how modern ransomware works. It's rarely one guy in a hoodie doing everything. It's ransomware as a service, or a RAISE.
Okay, so break that down for us.
Think of it like a franchise model. The Lynx developers, they write the malicious software and they run the payment site, their corporate HQ. Then they rent that software out to affiliates, freelance hackers who actually break into the networks.
So HQ might write a manifesto saying we love nonprofits, but the affiliate who just broke into the server sees a payday and doesn't care.
Bingo. The affiliate gets a commission, usually 70 to 80% of the ransom. So if they stumble into a nonprofit like CBS, are they going to walk away because of a manifesto on a website?
No way. They want their cut.
Exactly.
No.
The developers might technically disapprove, but they still host the data on the leak site because they want their cut too. Money beats the manifesto every single time.
That makes the whole ethical claim even more dangerous because it gives victims this false sense of security. Oh, we're a charity, we're safe. No. You're not. You're just a target with a different tax status.
Correct. And we can see this isn't an isolated incident. If we zoom out to the stats from Borderless CS and Black Fog for late 2025 and early this year, the volume is just staggering.
Yeah, I was looking at the January 2025 numbers. A record-breaking 92 publicly disclosed attacks in 1 month. That was up 21% from the year before. And it didn't slow down. By December, we were still seeing nearly 80 attacks a month.
And look at the sectors. Despite all the talk about avoiding critical infrastructure, healthcare was the most targeted sector in late 2025. 14 attacks in December alone.
That is terrifying. So where does Australia sit in all this? Because it feels like we're hearing about a new breach every single week.
We are punching way above our weight, unfortunately. In December 2025, the U.S. made up about 46% of victims, which you'd sort of expect.
Sure, big economy.
But Australia was second globally. We made up 14% of the victims.
14%. That is a massive slice of the pie for a country our size. Why are we such a target?
It's a combination of things. We're a wealthy nation. We digitize very quickly, but our cybersecurity maturity hasn't always kept pace. We're seen as, cash rich and time poor.
Let's talk about some of the big ones, because it's not just the volume, it's who's getting hit. And not just to list them, but to look at the types of attacks. Like we had the massive data dumps, like MediSecure.
Right. That was a direct hit on a data aggregator. 12.9 million Australians. That is basically half the country having their prescriptions and Medicare numbers exposed. It's a mass casualty event in digital terms.
But then you have the supply chain stuff, right? Like Volkswagen.
Yes, 800,000 EV owners exposed. And that wasn't necessarily a hack of the car itself, but a configuration error in the data handling. It exposed geolocation data.
Which is a nightmare. If you can track a car, you can track the person. And then Qantas, up to 6 million records exposed, but that came through a call center breach, didn't it?
Exactly. This is the third-party risk we're always talking about. Qantas might have great security, but if the call center they hired has a weak password policy, the data flows out just the same.
Even politicians aren't safe. The United Australia Party and Trumpet of Patriots got hit.
Which just shows you that ideology doesn't matter to the algorithm. A ransomware scanner doesn't care about your politics. It cares about your open ports.
We've talked a lot about Lynx, but they're just one shark in the tank. The marketplace is crowded. We've got groups like Quillen, Ink Ransom, Medusa. Are they all pretending to be ethical too?
No, and that's the contrast. Take Medusa. They are incredibly aggressive. They demanded $150,000 from a small ENT clinic and $300,000 from Airdex Australia. They don't write manifestos, they put up countdown clocks.
And Quillen.
Quillen is very active. They hit the West Quay Shopping Center and even the Church of Scientology in the UK. Posted visa and financial records. They're all about volume and pressure.
You mentioned pressure. We used to talk about double extortion, encrypt the files, then threaten to leak them. But it feels like the tactics are evolving. It's getting nastier.
It is. The industry term is moving toward triple extortion or even compliance weaponization.
Compliance weaponization. That sounds like a lawyer's fever dream. What on earth does that mean?
So imagine a hacker steals your data. You refuse to pay. In the past, they'd just leak it. Now, they might email your customers directly and say, hey, this company lost your data, you should sue them.
Wow.
Or, and this is the really nasty part, they might threaten to report the breach to the OAIC or the privacy regulator themselves, guaranteeing you get hit with a massive fine if you don't pay the ransom.
So they're using our own privacy laws as a weapon against the victim. Pay us $1 million or pay the government $10 million in fines.
Exactly. It turns the regulatory framework into part of their extortion toolkit.
That is just diabolical. So let's pivot. If I'm a business owner listening to this, maybe I ran a mid-sized logistics firm or a nonprofit like CBS. What's the actual takeaway? Because get better firewalls feels a bit 2015.
Firewalls are baseline, they're table stakes. The real lesson from CBS and these other breaches is about blast radius.
Explain that.
Okay, so CBS had an ex-employee's tax invoice and documents filed with the health department. Why did they still have that accessible? If you get hit, the damage is determined by what the hackers can grab. If you delete data, you no longer need data minimization. You limit the blast radius.
You can't leak what you don't hold.
Correct. If CBS had archived that data into cold storage, offline backups, or just deleted it after the statutory period, the hackers might have gotten in, but they would have found empty filing cabinets.
But instead, they found that working with vulnerable people, ID card.
And that creates a lifelong headache for that employee.
We should touch on that personal impact. If you're the person whose ID card was in that leak, what actually happens? It's not just change your password, is it?
No, for a Tasmanian resident in this scenario, it's an administrative nightmare. Service Tasmania guidance says if your driver's license is compromised, you have to apply for a whole new license number. Not just a new card, a new number.
Which means updating every single service that uses it to verify who you are.
Right, and if that specific personal information card is compromised, it's the same thing. You're likely directed to ID Care, which is a fantastic service, but having to use it means your life has already been completely disrupted. You are now on identity watch for years.
It's the gift that just keeps on giving.
It is, and the government the ACSC, the OAIC, they're there to notify and regulate. In the CBS case, they determined a subset was taken and make sure notifications went out. But regulation can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Once that data is on the dark web, it's there.
So we have a marketplace of criminals who may or may not lie about their ethics. We've got a franchise model that incentivizes attacks on everyone. And we have a regulatory environment that hackers are now weaponizing. It just feels like we're walking through a minefield.
We are. And I think the provocative thought for 2026 is this. The line between the ethical hacking groups and the ruthless ones is gone. It's a distinction without a difference. The burden of defense has shifted. It's no longer just about preventing entry.
Yeah.
Because, as we see with supply chain attacks, entry might happen through a vendor you trust.
So the goal is resilience.
The goal is asking, if they get in today, can we survive it? And how much data will they actually find? We might be entering an era where data breaches are treated more like natural disasters, inevitable. The question is your house built to withstand the hurricane?
That is a very heavy reality check, but a necessary one. Hope is definitely not a strategy here.
No, hope is not a strategy. Preparation is.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. From the hypocrisy of the Lynx gang to the hard reality of Australian cyberstats. It's complex, it's scary, but ignoring it is the absolute worst thing you can do.
Absolutely. Awareness is the first step to defense.
Now, if you're listening to this and you're the one responsible for that blast radius in your company, and you're maybe starting to sweat a little bit thinking about your own data retention policies, good, that means you're paying attention. But you don't have to panic.
Panic leads to bad decisions. You need a plan.
Exactly. We don't want you to be the case study on our next show, so if you want to shore up your IT defenses or just figure out where your vulnerabilities actually are, you need to talk to the experts. You should head over to www.kinsoft.com.au.
They live and breathe this stuff, so you don't have to.
That's www.kinsoft.com.au to discuss your security and IT needs. Get ahead of the problem before it becomes a headline.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you so much for joining us on Tech Talks with Kinsoft. Stay safe out there, watch your data, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye for now.